This is Reverend Raven here, coming to you live from the road with some reflections, taking in lessons from nature and helping you incorporate them into your everyday life. We have 2 interviews recorded here with my husband, Adam, also known as Fiskr, the fish. The first interview is from our vacation in Florida, where we had been along the Panhandle and also in Cocoa Beach, where we actually recorded the interview on the fishing dock while we were crabbing. So that was really fun. We got greeted by a heron and made some new friends up on the dock and just had a lot of cool lessons to share from that trip. On the second interview we recorded, we are at the Gulf Coast National Seashore in Mississippi, on our way back from visiting Dauphin Island. The cool thing is that both of these recordings were recorded over the new moon. And so we really want to help share some reflections of how you can move forward into the future with the lessons that you have gained from the past. So listen up and feel free to share with us any lessons and feedback that you have along the way. Enjoy. This is Reverend Raven coming to you live from Big Lagoon State Park in Perdido Key, Florida. We are wrapping up our wonderful vacation around Florida, kind of getting the tour going from coast to coast, fishing along the way. I'm here with my lovely husband, Adam Moos, and we're actually on the dock right now crabbing. We caught a couple crabs here, so that's kind of exciting. Adam, what are we doing out here tonight?
Well, we're crabbing. We've caught a couple of crabs tonight, and that's pretty exciting. But we are also out here stargazing. Allegedly, there are going to maybe be a meteor shower tonight.
All right. I'm excited about that. We're actually where we're staying at the campground here. We are looking over the sound, and then the ocean is right on the other side of this little strip of land here. So the skies are supposed to be pretty dark here, and hopefully we can see the meteor shower.
New moon as well, so that helps.
Ooh, what does the new moon mean to you?
Means a good time to both start and end things, because it is the part of the cycle where the moon disappears, and it's also the part of the cycle where the moon is about to appear. So I think that it can be used both to detach yourself from some energy that you want to detach yourself from, or to release something from the past, as well as a good time to start a new endeavor.
Yeah, something that I find really interesting is the more that I learn about Norse mythology and the heathen path is that they actually call the new moon the black moon. Mm-hmm. And so it's the point, obviously, in the sky where the moon is the darkest. But what that means when you're looking at the stars is you can see a lot more of the stars, the different constellations, the planets, because there isn't that light from the moon, quote unquote, polluting the sky.
Well, and what I really like about having this spot to watch this maybe meteor shower that we did not plan on at all. We didn't even realize it was happening until we were driving here. Where we're at is on the edge of a national refuge, so there's like no light pollution that way. If you look that way, you get towards Pensacola and it kind of washes out, but the sky is pitch black.
So when he's saying that way, Pensacola is going to be to our west and the refuge is going to be to our east. So we're really excited to be able to see what we can see in the skies tonight. I really like the new moon as an opportunity to start something new. We build off of things that have come from our past experiences, things we've learned, things like that. And it gives us a new opportunity to start a new plan and a new step forward on our path. But that doesn't mean that we throw everything away from the past, just the things that no longer serve us.
Yeah, you go through life and you have positive experiences and you have negative experiences. And it's important to learn from those negative experiences, but it's also important not to carry that negative energy along with you, as opposed to the positive experiences where you should learn from them and bring that positive energy along, I think. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in the moment, it's hard to tell if what is happening is a positive or negative thing until you have, what do they say, hindsight is 20/20.
Right.
But I don't think it's ever too late to let go of something from the past, and it's never too soon to embrace something in the future. Mm-hmm. It's all about perspective, but once you get that perspective, it's your responsibility to act upon it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that there. And it's going to sound like I'm shifting topics, but I want to talk about fishing.
Yep.
So for you, you've been a fisherman for a long time, right?
I don't even remember which one of my grandpas taught me how to tie a hook to a line. I just have always known it.
Mm-hmm. And for you, why do you like fishing?
I really like being in nature is what it is. Mm-hmm. It's fun to catch a fish, and I do like eating seafood and eating fish, and it's nice to have food on my table that I have harvested myself. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that's responsible for providing rather than going to like a grocery store and getting something that someone else has raised and slaughtered and butchered and wrapped in plastic. But for me, fishing, I don't know, it's fun to catch fish, but I like the water. I like being in nature. There are so many places that I've been fishing that if I was just going out, like I like hiking and backpacking and that kind of thing too. But a lot of times in those situations, you're moving. Fishing, you go somewhere and you sit and you get to know the lay of the land. You get to know some of the wildlife in the water that you normally don't see or don't know. And it's just very peaceful. Let's be quiet for a minute and listen to the waves. That is like the most calming sound that I can even imagine. It's just that water lapping, hearing the birds and the bugs and the frogs and everything else. We've seen some bats. I love bats.
Definitely. For me, whenever I'm on the water, and especially on the beach or where you can look out on the ocean or a sound, it really makes me feel a very strong connection to my ancestors.
I agree. And I especially feel that way with like beaches on the ocean. And it's not because we grew up by the ocean when I was a kid, but when we would go on vacation, oftentimes it would be to the ocean. We go to Hilton Head or Cocoa Beach, somewhere like that, and we would go fishing as a family. Or even if it wasn't anything that exotic as the ocean, it was still a lake or a pond or something. It was kind of a family bonding experience. And sometimes, like I say, you don't always catch fish. My grandpa, he would always say, we're either eating fish tonight or I stop by the Colonel's and get a bucket. And it was about an equal amount of both. And then at one point, my grandma had us get Pizza Hut instead.
That's funny.
But what I really enjoy about the beach specifically is how it is kind of an intersection of all of the elements. You have earth with the sand beneath your feet. If you're standing in the surf, you have that water energy rushing over your feet. If you're not doing like a polar bear dive, you have the fire of the sun coming down over you. You have the wind coming in off of that ocean. And I don't know, this might be a little Captain Planet-y, but all four of those energies really form to affect my spirit and my soul. it doesn't matter how stressful I am if I'm sitting just ankle deep at the beach and the waves are rolling over my feet. I ground instantly. I'm relaxed. All of the problems in my life are something that I can worry about a little bit later. I don't need to worry about it right now. And I don't know why that is. I just know that I feel it, so I follow it.
Yeah.
Which is really how I would explain a lot of my spirituality. I don't do it because I know why it works. I do it because, in my experience, it works.
We were rounding out the backside of our vacation. We stopped in at St. Augustine and stayed the weekend with Adam's cousins, Caitlin and Will. They were great hosts, and we had a really good time, and it was nice to be able to spend time with the other side of our family as well, because we had spent the previous week fishing with my side of the family, going on vacation and at the beach in Cocoa. And whenever we were in St. Augustine, I actually found a yoga class that we could practice on the lawn of a historic home there in St. Augustine. And it was a really magical experience just to be able to be outside and practice yoga. And it was really cool because the instructor, she called it our yoga church. There were church bells actually going off from the cathedral there at St. Augustine right beside us, and that we had the opportunity to heal. Heal was the word that she used, and she basically broke it down into an acronym. So the H was having happy experiences, allowing ourselves to have those happy moments where we can just, feel happy and not have to be worrying about every single detail in every moment that's around us. And I feel like that's what you're talking about when you're, going fishing, is that you're just taking that time to unwind and be out in nature and connect with spirituality. I know that you've been doing a lot more fishing lately back home, and going out with a couple of friends and doing things in the mornings, and kind of a way to start your day where you're not like stressed out and worrying where you're rushing to next.
Definitely. I would say part of what I like about fishing is because it's a part of the day when I go fishing that I can sit around and not do things. Normally I wake up and I have this whole list of things that I need to do. And I run around all over the place trying to get them all done. And I get to the end of the day, and some of them I didn't get to. And you have to make an excuse sometimes to take a break. Lunch, too. If I don't stop and say at 2 o'clock, I'm stopping what I'm doing, and I'm going to spend half an hour, and I'm going to eat a sandwich, then I don't take a break for lunch. And then it's 4 or 5 o'clock, and I can't figure out why I'm all upset. And it's because I didn't eat. And you
didn't take that time to take a break.
I would kind of look at fishing at that same way. The same way like you would stop to take some time to do yoga or to meditate. I'm going to be honest. Normally my favorite part of fishing is not talking. This isn't too bad.
And it looks like a heron's actually joined us for the conversation.
A rather large one too.
Yeah. He's probably 3 feet high and at the end of the dock here, maybe 20 feet from us. He actually just landed there, and now he's coming over to say hi and see what we're doing. He might be interested in the crab that we have in this bucket.
I think that's a good sign that there is something that he is walking right towards us, huh?
Hey, buddy.
That is a big bird. And this is exactly why I like fishing. It is about 10 o'clock at night, and we were sitting on a dock. What do you think that is, 15 feet?
Yep.
From a bird that's looking in the water fishing. And he's coming closer to us. And if we weren't out here, we would never have seen this. He would still be out here.
Right. But we get to watch this majestic bird do his thing. And actually, earlier we ordered a pizza from a local pizza joint. That's one of our things to do, is find the local pizza joints. And we were
found
waiting
some
on
good
it.
ones this trip.
Oh, yeah, we always do. But we ordered the pizza, and then they told us it'd be 15, 20 minutes till it was ready. So we walked across to the beach, and we actually got to witness a heron there on the beach crabbing. He was just standing there really still as these people were walking by him, and we couldn't figure out why he wasn't moving. And then all of a sudden we saw him pick up this little tiny crab.
He just buried his head into the sand and came out and pranced over to the beach and had his lunch or dinner. I don't know what herons' feeding schedules are.
But it was just really neat to be able to witness him doing his thing in his natural environment. I know for me, I have a really big spiritual connection with animals.
Well, even aside from fishing, we got here and we set up our camp and we took a walk, and there's, a little boardwalk. We're in Florida, we're off the bay, there's a marsh, we're in a state park, and there's a neat little boardwalk and a lake. We got to the end of the lake where there's a place you can look out over, and I couldn't tell you how many turtles we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, they were really
big
cool.
turtles, and they were interacting with each other. Like, you could watch it, sit in there and watch them fighting over their territory, and one of them was trying to claw at all the other ones. We saw one turtle, and then we saw two turtles, and then there were like 20.
All poking their little heads up out of the water to say hi to us.
And that's the kind of thing that you don't get if you just sit at home and watch TV all day or all night.
Or stay at a hotel whenever you go on vacation.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like going to a resort sometimes. It's nice to be able to be in one place and have your food and your drink. But I've always grown up camping and hiking and backpacking and fishing. I really enjoy being out in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And this trip especially has shown me all of the great nature preserves and state parks in Florida. This is the third state park we've stayed in the past week. And all of them have been very interesting, but also incredibly unique.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no two of them have been the same. And a couple of them are like 20 miles from each other.
Mm-hmm. And all those ones within 4 miles of our home. So really not that far
4
to
hours.
go and visit. Yeah, 4 hours from our home. So it's really cool just to be able to get out in nature and connect and have that healing. I think it helps us to be able to identify really who we are and what do we want to do in our lives. What are the things that we want to do moving forward? And base those decisions on our personal values. What do we think is important in life? Is that making a bunch of money and driving a fancy car and living in a white house that's clean all the time? Probably not. Oh, we got a little crab here.
He is not a keeper.
But it's fun to be able to catch him. We'll go ahead and throw him on back. But with the fishing, it gives us an opportunity to be outside, catch our own food, and have pride in what we're doing.
I really enjoy cooking, and part of what I enjoy about cooking is there's a medicinal or a spiritual, therapeutic, holistic aspect to it. When you cook food, you put your energy into it. Mm-hmm. And it's different than if you go to... I'm not going to shill any corporate entities that aren't paying for sponsorships. But a fast food place or a chain restaurant, it's better if you go to somewhere local sometimes, but even then, a lot of those places, it's the same bar food, it's the same burger patties, they're buying the same mozzarella sticks. It's not the same as making food yourself with for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
and foraging for food and catching food, add so much more in there. So much more of your personal energy. If that makes sense.
Definitely. I've seen a lot of the healing powers of food, and the more that I've become involved in the food making process and preparation process, I really begin to understand that even more. We are letting the little crab back in the water so he can grow up to be a bigger crab. Maybe Mr. Heron won't.
Female crab.
Oh, it's a female.
Yeah. And I try and let all the female crabs back in, mainly for the sake of their population. Male crabs, they mate a bunch. But female crabs, they really only mate once. And once they mate, they hold their sperm in and can make multiple clutches of eggs. So even if you catch one that's older and she has already had some babies, she could still have some more babies. So I try and only keep the males. I think they call them jimmies up in the Northeast. And only the ones that are a decent size too. Like I said, and that really goes with anything. There we go. Anything that we're collecting from the wild and foraging or hunting or fishing. I love hunting for wild mushrooms, but you find a patch of wild mushrooms and you don't pick them all. You don't get greedy. You take enough for what you need, and then you leave the rest of them there so that they can go ahead and sporulate and make more mushrooms so that when you come next time, there's more. It's the same thing with fish. It's the same thing with squirrels or rabbits or deer. Anything that you really are hunting or fishing or foraging or collecting. We have blackberry bushes in our yard. And when I go out and pick the blackberries, I don't pick all of them because some of the ripe ones, I want birds to come and eat the seeds and fly away and then poop them out and then grow more blackberries.
And another way that I think of it too is, this thing wasn't put here specifically for me. So I want to be grateful. I want to give gratitude that I get to enjoy whatever that thing is. But I also want to share the bounty with the rest of nature, whether that's the squirrels or my friends the crows or whoever it might be.
Got protein.
Just to be able to share the bounty with the rest of nature and be a respectful steward of that.
Wow, that train's really coming in.
Yeah, it's getting windy. Any other fish tales you want to share with us?
Not really. Not that I can think of right now.
Well, thank you for sharing your stories with us and lessons from the fishing dock.
Thank you for putting on such a fantastic podcast, and also for being the best wife in the world.
I didn't pay him to say that.
No, I'm not just saying that. I've seen a lot of wives, and I really like this one.
It was worth the wait.
She'll stand out here on the dock with you while I'm fishing. Where do you point at?
The waves right out there.
That heron's still there too. Look
Yeah,
how
our friend the heron's still chilling with us. Signing off. This is Reverend Raven.
Damn, my headlight fell off.
And husband Fiskr. We are back from the road here, talking about fishtails, crabs, anything else that pops up.
Brown dog swimming in the ocean.
I'm joined with me again by my husband Fiskr, Adam Moos. We have been spending a great long weekend out here in Dauphin Island, Alabama. It's the closest dog-friendly beach to our home, and we took our doggie Zelda out there for her second time swimming at the beach. How did it go?
She had a great time. She swam herself exhausted. Then she kept wanting to go out. We had to eventually put her back up so she didn't wear herself out.
Something else we saw that was really cool on the shore this time was a little tide pool full of hermit crabs. And they really got me thinking about Cancer season. The crabs have a lot of messages to share with us. What's one message the crabs share with you, Adam?
Specifically with the hermit crab, sometimes you outgrow your situation or your space in life. And rather than getting cramped, hermit crabs go and they find a new shell. Mm-hmm. As opposed to like some of the other crabs where they get a little soft and they molt and they grow bigger. Hermit crabs just say, fuck all that, eat their old home off, and go and find another one. I think that's something that we all have to do every now and then, is look at our situation, where we're at in life. At least if you're the kind of person that's trying to grow and trying to do new things, sometimes you have to let go of old things that don't serve you anymore. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's something that has never really benefited to you that you're holding on to because of trauma, or maybe it's something that used to serve you and it just doesn't now. Situations and circumstances change, our goals and what we want out of life change over time. Like one thing that we have been talking about and we're working on doing is switching from living in a home to moving into like a mobile home, like an RV. Where we're at right now, living in a home with a foundation works for us. But at some point before too long, we're going to need to let go of that. I would even say it's the same thing when we moved to New Orleans from Indiana. Indiana's great, and I love it, and I love the people there. But it was time to leave our old home and go and make a new home. And that introduced us to a lot of challenges. But it's also been very rewarding, being successful in that. And we've met people and done things that I can't imagine ever doing where we were at before. It's part of why I'm kind of excited to go on this next journey of our life when we can. Because I don't know what necessarily is going to come out of it, but I know that we're going to have a good time doing it. Yeah, definitely.
And I've been thinking a lot about moving from Gemini season to Cancer season. We've been talking a lot about being yourself and figuring out who that person really is, and letting go to old ideas and expectations of that person. But then with Cancer season, we're really focusing on our emotions and feeling at home within ourselves. And so I feel like it's really important that we allow ourselves to feel those emotions, no matter what they are. But don't dwell in them. You can feel emotions and then decide what you want to do with those emotions. You don't have to sit in them, whether that's, depression or fear or anxiety or anything like that. But allowing yourself to feel those emotions and sit with them for a minute before you decide what to do with them without judgment. I think that's really important.
Well, I really feel that kind of has been the story of this past month. Everyone has a bunch of ideas. Then, at least in our group, we have been talking about ways to implement them. And now it seems like everyone suddenly has the energy and the time to start implementing them.
And funny enough, we are recording this again on the new moon. The last time we recorded talking about crabbing, it was on the new moon as well. So we've gone one full moon cycle and learned, some lessons in that time frame, and how to sit with our emotions a little bit too, and allowing ourselves to feel those so we know what we want to do with that moving forward. I feel like that is really important.
Absolutely.
So where do we go from here? That's the important question. I feel like it's really important for us to be able to recognize our emotions and give ourselves an outlet for them, whether that is journaling or meditating, talking with a close friend. You know, like I said, just giving ourselves a way to express what those emotions are, so then we can kind of process them and figure out what to do from there.
And acting upon them too. It's not always the best to act immediately out of emotion. Sometimes you want to sit and you want to ponder and you want to think. But I have found that if I feel a way about something for a few days, for a week, that's a pretty good barometer that this is actually how I feel about it. And that's something that I need to consider when I act upon it. Life is a continuous journey. It's important to set goals and to try and reach those goals. But kind of to reiterate, I think it's really important to constantly be reassessing those goals as well. You know, you need to set your short-term and your long-term and some of those mid-term goals and do what you can to get there. And if the facts on the ground, you know, the reality of your situation changes, you can change those goals. It doesn't mean that you're abandoning your old goals necessarily. You really should do what you feel is best for you, regardless. And not just you personally, but your friends, your community. You know, there's politically been a lot of turmoil recently. Some really bad shit has been happening at the federal level that is affecting people at the local level. But what's really, I feel, important to do is to respond to that by organizing and acting on the local level. Letting the people that you care about know that you still care about them and doing everything you can to build that local community up.
Yeah, I feel that that's really important because over time, you know, as things flare up, I'll just say it that way, that we have a lot of emotions with what is happening, but sometimes those emotions can be crippling and don't allow us to do something actionable about it because we're so upset about what's happening that we don't have time or the emotional energy to process those feelings and be able to do something with them.
Definitely. And it's very valid to be upset. And it's valid to be too upset to do anything for a moment. Like I said, I don't like to act immediately out of emotion because normally I find that's when I don't make the best decisions. But once you sit and you have time to marinate for a minute, pick a course of action and follow it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people suffer from analysis paralysis, and me being one of them sometimes. I sit and I don't know what the right thing is to do, and I'll just sit and think about, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? What if I do that? And then if I look back, I'm just sitting there wandering and not doing anything.
Definitely.
But if I can at least pick a course of action that in the moment seems like it's probably the right thing to do, then at least I have somewhere to go. And then if we need to change course or, you know, steer the boat a different way, then we can do that.
Yeah, you don't have to go 80 miles an hour in one direction with your eyes closed just to do something.
Right.
A small step is still a step.
Right. And we are able to look back and reevaluate our situation. Kind of no matter what the decision is. There are a few things that are really hard to go back from, but most things in life, we have the opportunity to reevaluate and change course if we need to. So I guess that would be my advice, is to not let that sitting with your feelings too long keep you from doing anything productive for yourself. I know as somebody that suffers from depression, that can be something really hard to deal with, that I can just be so overwhelmed with my emotions that I just sit at home, come home from work and sit on the couch and not want to do anything. And it's okay to do that for 1 or 2 days, but I got to, after that, get up and do something about it.
Definitely. Crabs, they have shells, to protect them, but they also have claws to protect them. Mm-hmm. It's okay to use their shell, but don't be afraid to use their claws either.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that kind of goes back to protection as well. Sometimes you have to act out of protection, and sometimes you act out of, going your course of what you think is right. Sometimes you're on the offense and sometimes you're on the defense. And we can't always choose when we are put in that defensive mode. But what we can do is choose how we respond in those situations.
Make sure that you don't just stay on the fence.
Mm-hmm. Don't have to be crabby all the time.
Unless they deserve it.
Right. But knowing where your values are, I think that really helps you to determine the appropriate course of action. Mm-hmm. If you have a few ideas of some things that you can do, really sit with it and think about which of these actions align the most with your values and pick that course of action.
And again, if you have someone that you trust, someone that you can talk to, someone who knows you, get their opinion on it. Mm-hmm. It's totally okay to ask for others people's advice and opinions and not follow it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you'll be surprised what an outside perspective can lend to a situation. Sometimes we get so caught up, at least I get so caught up in my line of thinking and thinking this is exactly what is going on and this is what everyone else is thinking. And someone says, hey, no, that's like you're just making that up.
We're making it a bigger deal, something that you've been really concerned about. Yeah, I think it is really good to get others' perspectives that you know and you trust. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have a community, because we can be greater together than individually.
Definitely.
Okay, well, I think we're going to sign off here. Happy new moon, everybody.
Happy new moon.
Let's put it all into the works. Rock and roll.
Chicago.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Annalisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. Thank you again, and as always, stay true to your magic.